There exists a $3 liquid that removes every stain you have encountered. It does not fade it. It does not lighten it. It eliminates it completely. Red wine on white linen, motor grease on a cotton work shirt, grass stains on children's clothes that have already gone through the washing machine twice, blood, mud, ink, coffee, rust, and cooking oil. A single application, cold water, and 20 minutes. No scrubbing, no soaking overnight, no expensive dry cleaning bills. This liquid has existed since 1856. Victorian laundresses used it to clean the white shirts of British aristocrats without a single washing machine, without a single synthetic chemical product, and without spending a single dollar on branded detergent. Textile workers in rural France kept it in brown, unlabeled bottles next to every industrial loom for more than a century. Then the detergent industry was born, and in 2 decades, this liquid had disappeared from every hardware store shelf, every laundry manual, and every home cleaning guide published after 1950. They did not eliminate it because it failed. They eliminated it because it worked too well. A $3 bottle that permanently removes every stain cannot sustain a $200 billion detergent industry. And what cannot be monetized must be forgotten. This is the story of the stain remover trusted by empires, and that the cleaning industry spent generations making you forget. Now let me take you to the beginning of all this. The year is 1856, and a British chemist named William Henry Perkin is working inside an improvised laboratory in his family's house in East London. Perkin is 18 years old and is trying to synthesize quinine from coal tar to treat malaria. He fails, but in the residue of his failed experiment, he notices something extraordinary, a deep purple pigment that adheres permanently to silk fabric and refuses to wash out under any condition he can apply. Perkin has accidentally discovered the first synthetic dye in human history. He calls it Mavine, and within a year he has patented it and opened a factory. But this is what history books always omit. By studying why his dye adhered so permanently to fabric, Perkin documented the reverse process in extraordinary detail. If a compound could bind a pigment molecule permanently to a textile fiber, then the same chemistry applied differently could break that bond and lift any foreign pigment from the fiber completely. He called this process oxidative bleaching and documented it in the Journal of the Chemical Society in 1858. The article described how a diluted solution of hydrogen peroxide could penetrate textile fibers at the molecular level, break the chemical bonds that hold stain molecules in the fabric, and lift them completely without damaging the underlying fiber structure. The stain did not fade, it did not lighten, it ceased to exist at the molecular level. But Perkin was not working alone on this discovery, and the story goes back much further than Victorian London. Let me take you to ancient Egypt around 1500 BC. Egyptian linen workers, responsible for maintaining the white ceremonial robes of the pharaonic court, had developed a preservation method documented in papyrus scrolls, preserved in the Cairo Museum. They exposed dirty linen to sunlight combined with a diluted solution extracted from fermented plant material, rich in natural peroxides. The combination of ultraviolet radiation and natural oxidizing compounds broke down organic stain molecules in the fabric over several hours of outdoor exposure. The same fundamental chemistry that Perkin would document 3,000 years later. In medieval Europe, monastery laundresses used wood ash, lye combined with sour whey, a naturally acidic liquid rich in hydrogen peroxide precursors, to remove blood and wine stains from altar cloths. The chemistry was empirical, passed down from generation to generation through practical observation. They did not know the molecular mechanism, they knew the result, and the result was a stain-free fabric that no amount of simple water and scrubbing alone could achieve. By 1800, exactly the concentration sold in every pharmacy today for less than $1, applied directly onto a stain and left to act for 15 to 20 minutes, the active chemistry had been partially understood by natural philosophers across Europe. But it was Perkin's 1858 paper that gave the industrial world its first precise formulation. Hydrogen peroxide diluted to a concentration of 3% breaks all organic stain bonds known to textile chemistry. This is what happens at the molecular level when you apply this liquid to exactly the concentration sold in every pharmacy today for less than red wine contains anthocyanins directly onto a stain and left to act for 15 to 20 minutes. Specific the active chemistry had been partially understood by natural philosophers across Europe. Coffee contains tannins, but it was Perkin's 1858 paper that gave the industrial world its first precise formulation. Grass stains, hydrogen peroxide diluted to a concentration of 3%. Each of these molecules breaks all organic stain bonds known to textile chemistry. Between the stain molecule and the polymer chains of the fabric fiber, Hydrogen peroxide in water releases oxygen radicals. Red wine contains these radicals attack the carbon double bonds molecules with carbon double bonds that absorb specific wavelengths of light. They break those bonds, colored to the human destroying the molecular structure that gives the stain its color and its adhesion to the fiber. Hemoglobin with an iron porphyrin core. The stain molecule does not move. It does not chlorophyll and xanthophyll pigments. It chemically decomposes into colorless and water-soluble fragments that are removed with cold water. The stain molecule. This is not the surface and the polymer chains of the fabric. It is the molecular destruction of the stain in water releases oxygen radicals. A study published in the Journal of Textile Science double bonds within chromophore tested 3% hydrogen peroxide against 17 common household stains, destroying the molecular structure that gives the stain its color and its adhesion. The results confirmed complete stain removal in 15 the stain molecule does not move. It does not transfer. No measurable damage to the fiber. It chemically decomposes into colorless and water-soluble fragments that are removed with cold water. 15 out of 17 stain categories completely. It is the molecular destruction of the stain itself. $3 anywhere pharmacy. A study published in the Journal of Textile Science in 2004 tested 3% hydrogen peroxide against $1 bottle of pharmacy hydrogen peroxide. Not the first thing every household reaches for. When a stain results confirmed complete stain. Why does the average family spend more than $400 a year on laundry detergents, no measurable damage, stain removers, and dry cleaning services for a problem that 3% hydrogen peroxide completely solves for stain categories completely removed? The global laundry detergent market generates more than $200 billion. It has been on the shelf annual advantages since companies like Procter & Gamble. So why is a $1 bottle of dominate shelf space in every supermarket on every continent? Not the first thing every household reaches for when a stain appears. Costs between $8. Why does the average family spend more than $400 a year? The ingredient list on laundry detergent, stain removers, and dry cleaning services buried in the fine print 3% hydrogen peroxide fragrance blends of branded enzyme complexes. You will find hydrogen peroxide. Global laundry detergent market generates more than hydrogen peroxide when dissolved in water. Listed as like primary Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and Henkel dominate shelf space in every supermarket on every continent. Water. Add their flagship stain removal thickening agents, cost between $8 into a branded bottle and sell it to you at 10 times the ingredient list on any chemistry inside that premium stain treatment bottle is identical to what William Henry Perkin documented proprietary fragrance blends and branded enzyme complexes. The only difference is the label. You will find hydrogen peroxide or sodium carbonate. You cannot patent hydrogen peroxide because it is a naturally occurring compound found in rainwater. Primary industrially synthesized. They take the sterile documented in public scientific literature, dilute it with water, add synthetic fragrances, build a subscription model around a compound that costs $1 and sell it to you at 10 times permanently on contact. The chemistry inside the industry did what they always do. Bottle is identical. Industries made sure you never connected the dots between the brown bottle in your bathroom. The only difference stain on your is the label and the profit margin. The concealment mechanism was elegant. You cannot patent hydrogen peroxide. Detergent companies invested heavily in consumer education rainwater and throughout industrially synthesized from processes documented established public scientific literature since 1818. Stain removal cannot build a subscription model around a formulated by experts with patented technology too complex for the average consumer to replicate. So the industry did what television commercials showed laboratory scientists made sure you never connected the dots between the brown bottle in your bathroom. Marketing language on your kitchen invented terms like enzymatic action and oxygen-powered lifting technology to describe detergent companies invested heavily in consumer education with a single radical reaction in 1960s. Meanwhile, dry cleaning chains charge between 15 and 40 per garment. Stain removal requires specialized products formulated by experts with patented technology 20 minutes too complex for the average consumer to replicate at home. The dry cleaning television commercials showed laboratory scientists generates white coats measuring precise chemical concentrations, a number that depends entirely on the consumer invented terms like enzymatic action are simply beyond lifting technology. They are not describe processes that one of them hydrogen peroxide achieves. A retired textile chemist in Lyon, France documented his results treating dry cleaning chains charged between 15 and 40 per garment cotton fabric to apply solvent using nothing more than 3% hydrogen peroxide $3.20 bottle applied with a cotton swab and rinsed with complete water after 20 minutes. The dry cleaning industry in the United States alone generates more than $8 billion annually. The remaining three depends entirely on the consumer believing that total material cost across are simply beyond home treatment was less than $1. Not a single one of them. This is exactly what you should do. A retired textile chemist in Lyon, France documented his results treating 37 types of stains consecutively between white cotton fabric and will last nothing more than 3% hydrogen peroxide. The brown bottle is not decorative. Applied with a cotton swab peroxide degrades when exposed to 20 minutes, which is why you should always store it in its original dark container away from direct sunlight. The remaining stain required a second application. Pour a small amount of hydrogen peroxide directly onto the stain and let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes without rubbing. You will often see a gentle bubbling reaction as oxygen radicals begin to break down the organic stain molecules. After 20 minutes, rinse with cold water. Never brown bottle is not decorative. Heat sets stain molecules degrades when exposed to light and makes them significantly store it in its original dark container away from direct sunlight. Anthocyanin molecules are vulnerable within the first hour. Pour a small amount of hydrogen peroxide begin to form stronger bonds with the fiber, and let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes without rubbing. You will often see a gentle bubbling reaction as oxygen radicals begin to break down the organic stain molecules. After 20 minutes, that have already gone through a washing machine, never hot, soak the stained area in undiluted stain molecules into the fabric fibers 30 to 60 makes them significantly harder to remove. Grass stains, for red wine, a small amount of dish soap to the treated area. Anthocyanin molecules are vulnerable within the first hour. Soap lifts the broken down chlorophyll fragments. They begin to form stronger bonds. After the peroxide breaks the molecular bonds. Use cold water and hydrogen peroxide. For grease and oil stains, combine hydrogen use hot water on blood with a small amount of baking soda to hemoglobin and permanently fuse for 30 minutes fiber structure. One important certain stains that have already gone through very saturated colors or dark fabrics, the stained area and undiluted lighten the fabric along with the stain. 30 to 60 Always test on a hidden seam before applying to visible areas of colored garments. Add a small amount of dish soap to the treated area after applying linen peroxide. It is completely safe. Lifts the broken down chlorophyll fragments with repeated use. After the peroxide, some knowledge never truly disappears. It simply waits in oil chemistry journals and combine hydrogen peroxide to remember what it was always capable of. Paste. William Henry Perkin documented the molecular destruction of stains in 1858. Very saturated colors or dark fabrics. Hydrogen Egyptian laundresses understood the oxidative principle 3,000 always test on a hidden seam before maintaining the robes of pharaohs. Colored garments. And for more than a century, the detergent industry has invested billions ensuring that distance between you and that brown bottle in your medicine cabinet. Some knowledge never truly disappears. Exactly as wide as it simply waits in chemistry journals and pharmacy shelves for someone to remember not changed. Always stains have not changed. William Henry Perkin documented the molecular destruction of stains in 1858 while trying to cure malaria. This changed the way you see Egyptian laundresses understood the oxidative principle 3,000 years before him. Subscribe and share this video now. Pharaohs. Every share more than a century back into the detergent industry has invested billions in $40 the distance to a dry cleaner you and that brown bottle in your medicine cabinet remains exactly as wide as it